It's the most wonderful time of the year. Well, rather than Christmas, but it is like Christmas in April. The NFL draft is among us. I am Jay York Football. Alongside of me, as always, Mic'd Up Sports One. You are tuned into the Sick Podcast, Steeler Crazy. It has stopped snowing in Pittsburgh. Now it's raining. It's supposed to get some nice weather this week. And just excited for that, first and foremost. How are you?
I'm good. It's most wonderful time of the year. You talked about Christmas. Well, the Steelers have yet to unwrap or find an Aaron Rodgers under their tree. I guess a quarterback in general, which is a relevant subject given who we're going to chat with today, who has some ties to another team, could potentially be interested in Aaron Rodgers. I guess we'll learn a little bit more about that. But the Steelers quarterback situation is still unresolved, even after Pat McAfee's big night at. A lot of us thought Rodgers might show up or do a Zoom or just announce something because he likes the attention. We all know that. But we're still sitting here a couple weeks from the draft without a quarterback, and I hope he makes a damn decision soon.
Mason Rudolph.
Yep.
Jimmy, take it away.
Roll.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Harris Smith shields. Flacco. Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast.
Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
And as we just said, it's the most wonderful time of the year. So we're going to bring on an NFL draft guy. Been following his YouTube for a while. Great stuff. Mr. Garret Greenlee. And also a dislocated kneecap survivor. I think that's what stood out to me the most. Obviously a Penn State fan as well. Really excited to have you on the podcast today. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, appreciate you having me on. And that intro with the Troy interception in the famous 2008 AFC Championship game. That was great play. I was actually with Troy this past weekend. So it was wow. Great. I mean, he's an awesome guy, great guy, and that gave me chills a little bit. That intro was awesome. I'll just leave it at that.
It gets the juices flowing, doesn't it?
It does. It 100% does.
Sometimes Jordan and I show up, might be a long day, a little tired, and then boom, we hear that, and we're like 8 Red Bulls in. After firing that sucker off. But yeah, thanks for joining us once more, man. We know you're obviously somebody that Vikings been following them for a long time, right? And doing some coverage on them as well. So I threw out the words Aaron Rodgers before we started the show. And there's been so many conflicting reports. You know, initially I think it started with Rodgers only wants to play with Minnesota. And then it migrated to he's waiting on the Vikings till the Vikings don't want him, but maybe they do, and now they don't want him again. What is going on? Are they completely out, you think, on Aaron?
Yeah, the Vikings are completely out at this point. It's it'd be a very good situation for not just Aaron Rodgers, but for anybody to go to in Minnesota with the best, in my opinion, the best receiver in football, and then another good receiver in Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson, and the run game, they traded for Jordan Mason this offseason, and the offensive line improved significantly as well. So made a lot of sense for Rodgers to want to go there, but unfortunately for Rodgers, the Vikings did not want to. It takes two to tango. They didn't want to tango.
Yeah, you got the best receiver in football right behind you. I could see JJ on that background. That's sick. Yeah, it's good to another JJ. Obviously, JJ McCarthy is somebody that you guys have a lot of faith in, given where you took him last year. Kind of brings me to a transition here with the Big Ten, because you saw a lot of JJ McCarthy, obviously watching a lot of Penn State football and film. So I want to talk a little bit about a couple of their guys entering this draft, who I'm sure that you've watched a lot of. Listen, obviously the Steelers probably won't be in the market for another Penn State tight end, but if this guy falls, how could you ever, not take him? But tell us just a little bit about Tyler Warren, maybe for fans who don't know a ton about him.
Yeah, Tyler Warren is an incredible prospect. I think he's a top 10 player in this class, due in large part to positional value. I think he will fall past pick 10, and I think a really good landing spot for him is Indy at pick 14.
Yeah.
But he's 6'5", 260. Despite the size, he's not as good of a blocker as you'd probably want for a guy that is 260 pounds. But he catches everything. He played quarterback this year at several points, not just one snap, but he played the Wildcat. He took snaps out of the backfield. He even snapped the ball against USC and then proceeded to run down the field and moss a guy on a touchdown for what was it was a start of a legendary day for Tyler Warren, as he had 17 receptions for over 200 yards against USC in one game alone. To me, he's a very, very good tight end prospect. He is a first-round talent in this class, and to me, so is Colston Loveland, another Big Ten guy from Michigan.
True.
Yeah. Let's stay on the Penn State train a little bit. What other Penn State players do you think, just in general, but maybe the Steelers could show some interest in and snag at any round just off the top of your head?
So I know safety isn't their biggest need, but if somehow Kevin Winston falls, he's a safety from Penn State. If somehow he falls to late day 2 because he tore his ACL, or excuse me, I might want to back that up. He had a season-ending injury very early in the year. He played one game, missed the rest of the year. And if he falls to late day 2, I mean, guys, I'm at the point with Kevin Winston where I think he's being completely overthought. To me, I think in terms of pure talent, he's a top talent without the injury, a top 20 player in this class, but I've seen him routinely in mocks, pick 70, pick 80. If somehow he falls to that late day 2 area, I could absolutely see the Steelers taking him and developing over the course of the next couple of years. He's a phenomenal football player.
There you have it. I'm sure our fans will be excited to hear that. A lot of Penn State guys tune into our podcast. So thoughts on the big move on the draft? I feel like that there's going to be a lot of surprises, I think, this year. Just any scenarios that you can think of the top of your head that may happen?
The quarterbacks are, you could have 2 in the top 3. You could have 2 in the first round. And that's what I think is one of the most interesting parts about the 2025 draft is nobody knows anything, I would say, outside of Cam Ward going number 1 overall. Because over the past couple of weeks, Schefter said that, the Browns are taking Shedeur Sanders at number 2, so they can have Shedeur Sanders and Jerry Jeudy and David Njoku and try and build from there. And then it was they're taking Abdul Carter to pair with Myles Garrett. Now the report is they're taking Travis Hunter, and that they may get Kirk Cousins. And it's just the uncertainty of the draft. And I think there's a chance for hectic selections this year that nobody sees coming because of the complete uncertainty around the draft, which I'm all for. I'm all for a hectic draft night.
Yeah. Do you think Shedeur Sanders could possibly drop to the Steelers?
I would be pretty surprised. I think I'll say this. I think if he falls past 9, which is where New Orleans is, I think New Orleans makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I agree.
But if he falls past 9, all bets are off.
Fair enough. I have one more before I throw it back over to Mike. Mike Tomlin obviously spent some time in Minnesota. Just kind of talk about, we always, again, I say this time and time again, we have local guys on here. Obviously, they have their opinion of Mike Tomlin. Always like to get a national guy and someone on the outside. Just give us your thoughts on Mike Tomlin and kind of where he's at right now in his Steelers career.
So Mike Tomlin, let's just call it what it is. He's coached there for 17, 18 years. I think everyone would be surprised if he coaches 35 years. So I think it's fair to say he's more than fair to say he's on the second half, clearly the second half. I'm going to be honest though. I'm not a big Tomlin guy. He frustrates me in a lot of ways, but the organization frustrates me too. It's just
join the train.
Well, they're in such a tough position because it's like, hey, we're 9 wins, 10 wins, but you guys know the TJ Watt stat, and it's frustrating. It's frustrating because truly, what do you do? And that's a really broad conversation that we could sit here and spend the next 20 minutes discussing in terms of, well, we should trade this guy, we should trade that guy. So I'm kind of out on Mike Tomlin because it's, we win that 9th game and then it's kind of like, all right, man, like we won that 9th game and, we win the 10th game in some years. And then it's like, all right, well, we'll see you guys next year because we did our job. And it's frustrating, but also to at least defend Tomlin a little bit, the talent on the roster to me, as simple as it is, are we going into Buffalo or Kansas City and winning when it matters? Whether the coach is Tomlin or Bill Belichick, I would have a hard time seeing that, respectfully.
I agree.
Yeah, fair. For us, I think if you take emotion out of it, and the Steelers organization took emotion out of it. Like if I was running a franchise on Madden, like you trade these guys like Watt and Hayward and Minka because you've seen all they've given you and you're still finding 10 wins. And like you said, you're not going to have CJ Stroud walking through the Steelers door to push them towards, AFC superiority. So I think, obviously they're probably on track for another 10, 11 win season unless something magically turns around. I just want to get you mentioned Winston. Is there any other guy, on your list or that you've watched that you're like, this guy, very underrated. I'm much higher on him than the consensus.
Is this just from Penn State or is there
NFL draft, I would say.
Okay, yeah. There's actually one player. This is a guy that I discovered a couple weeks ago. He's local. He's from Pitt. I liked Kanata Mumpfield, the receiver from Pitt. I think he's a really good route runner. I like him a lot for what he is. I think he's a guy that could be, I think he will be drafted on day 3. I think he's a guy that could reasonably come in, be that wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4 role and be a fan favorite because I think 3rd and 7, GP and DK each have, their bracket and each guy has, either maybe double coverage in DK's case. And then, George is up with the number 1 corner on the other side of the field. Who are we going to go to? It's either Muth or in this case, Kanata Mumpfield. I like his game a lot for who he is as a player. And it's ironic that, we're talking about the Steelers, but he was a guy that I discovered pretty recently, and I like him a lot.
And he is a friend of the Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy. We just had him on a couple weeks back.
That's even better. I didn't know that. That's awesome.
Yes, yeah, great kid too. Great head on his shoulders.
Yeah.
And so we were left that in.
Love to see him in black and gold.
Yeah, so impressed by that kid for sure. All right, I'm going way into the crystal ball now, and I want to hear your thoughts on this. Because, if a lot of Steelers fans had their choices, I mentioned before, they would tank and hopefully get a higher draft pick when the draft is in Pittsburgh next year. So they can probably get a quarterback. And probably where I'm going with this. So, Drew Allar, what are your thoughts on him moving forward? And do you think he has potential to, leap into the top 5 or top 1 conversation next year?
So, Drew Allar, to answer your question immediately, yes, I do. But to give a longer answer, there's plays and portions of games where Drew Allar looks like a franchise quarterback. I mean, there's plays where he's hitting from far hash in between hole shots, and then there's plays where he's throwing 55 yards and the ball is in it, it's right in the receiver's hands. And then there's plays that are, for as impressive as those plays are, there's the opposite. And right now it's kind of like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Allar, and it's not good. To have that type of variance. And I'm glad that Drew Allar went back to school because I thought that he needed another year at minimum. And he did not play well at points throughout the 2024 season, which was very frustrating because there's times where, like we said, Drew Allar plays like a top 5 pick. He absolutely can. I hate to give such a cliche answer, but it's simply a matter of developing and becoming a more consistent player because he is a really good player. And I'll be honest, guys, when I was, I hadn't dove fully into the all 22 the way that I have with Cam Ward and Shedeur and Jackson Dart, but my comparison, because I'm a Penn State fan, I watch him every Saturday regardless. My comparison for Drew Allar that will probably stand, I can't imagine it changing much over the course of 1 year, is a young Ben Roethlisberger.
Nice. I've heard that before. The size, the mobility, the arm strength, and wouldn't it be cool if Pittsburgh got their next quarterback in the draft in the Steel City next year? Jordan, you have anything else?
No, I just tell everyone, like I said, I've been following your YouTube, really love all the content you're putting out. Great insight. No doubt about that. But just tell us what you got going on and where everyone can find you.
Yeah, appreciate you guys having me on. I do have a question for you guys and everybody watching before I go, but I'll plug everything. Football Analysis on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Like I said, it's just Football Analysis, and it's either my face or the logo you'll see, but F-Ball Analysis YT is pretty much where you can find me everywhere. So the question that I have for you guys, big Yinzers, big Pittsburgh guys, Fioris or Betos? Which one?
Fioris.
Good answer. Good answer.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Good answer. Good answer. That's okay. Okay. Good answer. I don't want to hear the Ohio Valley, like the cheese melting at the Lunchables. I'm done.
Fioris.
Hopefully nobody from Vito's is listening or watching right now. They're not a sponsor. Not a sponsor. But Fioris, come on down, baby. Come on down with the sponsorship.
Yeah. What are your ties to Pittsburgh? What made you become a Penn State fan?
Honestly, I went to a game when I was like 12 years old, and I didn't really have a college team before that, and I went to a game and I was just like the atmosphere, the tailgating, everything was awesome. It was way back in the day. I think Allen Robinson was there at the time, and he's obviously like a double-digit year veteran now. So it was a long time ago, but just went to a game, and it was an incredible game day experience.
There you have it. Well, hey, we really appreciate. Keep up the good work. We'll definitely have to have you on again, and enjoy your day. Thank you.
Thank you guys for having me.
Thanks, Garret. You got him. Kanata Mumfield, how cool was that? We didn't even set that up.
A little foreshadowing there. This is like, are we manifesting this right now?
We're manifesting it. Friend of the pod.
I have the Mumfield podcast show.
The Steelers like drafting guys from Pitt.
Yeah.
Pickett, Connor. You can go on and on. But, I really do think he would be a nice compliment to the receiver room. I don't think they need a receiver in round 1 or 2 unless they do trade George Pickens, which is possible. But later pick will go well with Roman Wilson for some depth in that receiver room moving forward.
I was kind of cracking up because I don't know if you've seen it, and I had to fact check it because you know how the internet can be now. And Shedeur Sanders, I guess on Instagram, shared that he was visiting the Steelers. Did you happen to see that?
Oh yeah, he's in for a pre-draft visit. Somebody snuck a picture of him at the airport. I saw that last night. He was I think he signed a few autographs. Somebody snuck a picture of him. He was looking like he was a little sleepy, but I don't know. Hopefully he leaves a good impression. I like Shedeur. I really do. Don't think he'll fall to 21. So we'll see if the Steelers plan to trade up to get him. I can't imagine they're going to mortgage more draft picks to get a young quarterback, especially if they sign Aaron Rodgers. I think they would hopefully look to next year and continue to build the roster instead of having a guy who's going to sit the bench for a year on a competitive team.
And this just goes back to how I'd still stand by paying Cam Hayward, because I feel like if you go in with Mason Rudolph another year, TJ Watt, who knows what's going to happen with him? He's throwing up a peace sign on Instagram.
Yeah, what the hell is that all about?
Cam Hayward's not. I don't know. And honestly, I feel like sometimes players just do that just to. I mean, if it has some sort of cryptic meaning or just kind of just messing with everyone, because I feel like everyone's on the edge of their seat in Steeler Nation right now. It's like we're waiting on Aaron Rodgers, we're waiting on this. Then
TJ Watt
are pissed off. Mason Rudolph's back. I'm just at this point, I'm just along for the ride. I mean, it's black and gold, until I'm 6 feet under. But it's man, they do not make it easy sometimes. It's almost to the point where I don't want to. They're similar to the Pirates right now in the way that they, can't win a playoff game. But just in many ways, I just feel like it's pure. It's not getting any better. I want to be honest and I want to, go with my heart, but I'm not. At the end of the day, I just don't know anymore. I really don't. Just glad that keep it real. I know, and I'm just glad that we were able to witness, at least those 2 Super Bowls at your mom's house, drinking 14 Mountain Dews. So
drinking a cigar with Ted Teal, or smoking a cigar with Ted Teal. Shout out,
man. All right.
Shout out, Dave.
Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, we're gonna be having these guests on up until the draft. Really great guests. I tell anyone, go check out his YouTube. Really, really good stuff breaking down everything. So make sure you subscribe to us, the Sick Podcast, Steeler Crazy. I'm Jay York Football, Mike Up Sports 1. What is that? Aaron Rodgers?
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.